Hi everyone, let me introduce myself. My name is Afifah Salma Maisarah. My student number is 2252002 and 8, and I'm studying at Selamat Riyadi University. In this time, I would like to share knowledge about what sentence and types of sentences. Firstly, do you know what a sentence is? So, sentence is one of the largest and most complex unit in the structure of a language, typically containing a subject and predicate, conveying a statement, question, exclamation, or command, and consisting of a main clause and sometimes one or more subordinate clauses. The subject is who or what is doing the action, and the predicate is the verb or action which is done. Sentence can be categorized into 4 types: declarative, interrogative, imperative, and exclamatory. Each of these types of sentence can either be a simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence, and compound complex sentence. Each type serves a different purpose, which can vary from making statements, asking questions, or even making comments. Understanding which sentence is which type is important for writing more effectively and also for correctly presenting the sentence. Types of sentence are essential for IELTS grammar. And for example, meet me at 5 o'clock. And how are you? And wow, the rainbow is beautiful. Before we understand the different types of sentences, let's understand the difference between a sentence, clause, and phrase, and also what simple, compound, complex, and compound complex sentences are. A clause is a group of words that have both subjects and predicates. There are 2 types of clauses. Independent clause can act as a complete sentences, whereas subordinate clauses on their own cannot act as a complete sentences and need to be used with an independent clause to complete their meaning. For example, number 1 is the dog bark is independent clause and complete sentence. Number 2 is when the man broke into the house, a subordinate clause and incomplete sentence. And number 3, when the man broke into the house, the dog barked is complete sentences. A phrase is a short or long group of words without a subject or a verb that does not convey a complete thought. On the other hand, a sentence conveys a complete thought. Also, a phrase is not punctuated. And for example, the first is when the rain stopped, and the second after dinner, and the last very pretty. Okay, next is simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence, and compound complex sentence. The first is simple sentence. A simple sentence is a basic sentence that contains a subject, predicate, and express a complete thought. And for example, the number 1 is he bought a new pen, and number 2, June is writing a letter and listening to music. The second is compound sentence. Compound sentences are made up of 2 or more independent clauses that are joined by a coordinating conjunction or sometimes by either a linking word or semicolon. The coordinating conjunction are but, yet, nor, or, and, for, etc. 2 independent clauses can also be joined by some conjunctive adverb like therefore, like, with, rather, etc. And for example, the first is the sky looks blue and the clouds look gray. And the second is speak now or forever hold your peace. The third is complex sentence. Complex sentences are made up of 1 independent clause and 1 or more dependent clauses. In a sentence, these clauses are joined or linked with one another by subordinating conjunction like when, after, because, etc. and by relative pronouns like who, which, that, etc. A single comma will connect the clauses when the dependent clause appears first in the sentence. And for example, we won the game because we work together as a team. And the last is compound complex sentence. A compound complex sentence is a sentence that contains 1 or more dependent clause with at least 2 independent clauses joined together with a comma immediately before the coordinating conjunction. These types of sentences are the combination of complex sentences. And for example is don't answer the door is independent clause. Unless your parents are home is subordinate clause. It is not safe at night is independent clause. Okay, next is types of sentences. Number 1 is declarative sentence. Declarative sentence is a sentence that makes a statement, which can be a fact or an opinion, convey ideas, observations, or explanations. This is the most commonly used type of sentence and is the simplest way to communicate information. A declarative sentence is followed by a full stop. And for example, the first is I saw a rainbow over the lake, and the second is the restaurant will open in 30 minutes. Number 2 is interrogative sentence. Interrogative sentences are used to ask question or interrogate. They always end in a question mark. Their sentences often begin with who, what, when, why, and how. Interrogative sentences can be either yes or no questions or open-ended questions which require an explanation. And for example, the first is what are you doing? And the second is do you want something to eat? Number 3 is imperative sentence. Imperative sentences are sentences that are used to make a request, offer advice, issue a command, or give an instruction. Imperative sentences can be positive or negative. They typically end up in a full stop or period. Sometimes, however, they can end in an exclamation mark when the command or order is given with a lot of feeling. For example, the first is shut the door and please maintain silence in the library. And the last is exclamatory sentence. Exclamatory sentences are used to express strong feelings and emotion like happiness, excitement, anger, disbelief, etc. These sentences are an effective way to show or evoke strong emotion in your writing. And for example, number 1 is wow, what a day, and number 2 is just shut up. Okay, I think that's it for my explanation of what sentence and types of sentences. And the conclusion, sentences is one of the largest and most complete in the structure of a language, typically containing a subject and predicate, conveying a statement, a question, exclamation, or command, and consisting of a main clause, and sometimes one or more subordinate clauses. For types of sentence there are 4 types of sentences based on their use, namely declarative, imperative, interrogative, and exclamatory sentences. As we know, there are 4 types of sentence on the basis of structure, and they are simple, compound, complex, and compound complex sentence. Okay friends, maybe that's all I can explain to you about sentence and type of sentence. If you have any questions, criticism or suggestion, you can comment down below this video. And I'm really sorry if there's any false pronunciation or any false information that I present to you. I hope my explanation can be useful and easy to be understood. Thank you for your attention and see you in next occasion.